Most people associate thyroid issues with fatigue and weight gain, and those are just the obvious signs. But there are symptoms that most people don't realize are connected to thyroid disease. And if you have any of these, it's worth having a deeper conversation with your healthcare provider. Today, I am counting down 15 of those symptoms. So let's dive in. Number 15 is a hoarse voice. Your voice sounds raspier than it normally does, and it's persisting. Low thyroid makes the tissues around your vocal cords swell. Your vocal cord muscles also can weaken if you have thyroid disease, and people might think you always have a cold all the time when you totally feel fine. Number 14 is a large tongue. If you look at your tongue and you see that it has scalloping or a ridge around it, like where it looks kind of bumpy, then that could mean that your tongue is too large to fit into your mouth. So it's getting this pattern because of your teeth. When you have a large tongue, that can indicate thyroid disease. It can also indicate other things such as sleep apnea and food sensitivities, but it is worthwhile to make sure that you do not have thyroid disease if you do see this pattern on your tongue. Number 13 is thinning of the lateral third of your eyebrows. So if you look at your eyebrows, you'll notice like you're missing hair on this lateral third of your eyebrows. If you feel like your eyebrows are good and then it just stops short, then you could have thyroid disease. Because when your thyroid is low, your hair gets stuck in rest mode instead of growth mode. This is also why people tend to get hair loss with thyroid disease as well. Number 12 is a swollen face or puffy eyes. If you wake up and your face just seems puffy, or if your eyes feel swollen even after a good night's sleep, then you definitely want to get your thyroid checked out, because low thyroid makes your body create these sticky molecules that trap water in the tissues, and the skin around your eyes is so thin that it tends to puff up first. Plus, your lymphatic drainage system slows down because the thyroid helps keep that regulated as well. You're unable to get rid of this excess fluid because your lymphatic system is slower, then you're going to be more puffier. Number 11 is numbness and tingling. If you feel like your hands and feet tingle or go numb all the time, especially at night, it tends to be worse at night, you might think that you have some sort of neuropathy or carpal tunnel, and it could be, but low thyroid can also affect your nerves because, as I mentioned, you tend to retain fluid, and that fluid can also irritate the surrounding nerves. Number 10 is slow heart rate. Your thyroid is your heart's pacemaker. It tells your heart how fast or slow to beat. When your thyroid drops, your heart rate can slow pretty low, even into the 50s, unless you're an athlete. But if you're not an athlete and you're feeling tired and find out that your resting heart rate is under 60, then this could be your thyroid. Number 9 is something I see quite commonly, and that is sudden high cholesterol. So typically, your liver has receptors on its cells where LDL parks into, and then that tells the liver to take the LDL out of your bloodstream, and it gets processed through the liver. But if you have low thyroid, you don't have as many of these receptors, and thus the LDL has nowhere to park on your liver, and your liver just can't keep up with fewer receptors, so you tend to have more LDL in the bloodstream. So if you have sudden high cholesterol and you didn't have an issue before, then definitely make sure that your thyroid is okay and that it's functioning optimally, because that could really be the underlying root cause. And if you fix that, then you may be able to avoid other medicines or supplements that you need to lower your cholesterol. Number 8 is muscle cramps and aches. Your muscles are like engines, and thyroid hormone is its fuel. When it is low, your muscles can't make energy. It's like running your car on empty. You get cramps, stiffness, or that feeling where you work out and you haven't recovered. And a lot of people just chalk it up to getting older, but they don't realize that it could be a thyroid issue. Number 7 is low libido. Low thyroid doesn't just slow metabolism, it can tank your sex drive. Thyroid hormone helps make estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So when your thyroid is not working as optimally, then those hormones take a hit. Many women will lose their libido long before they get diagnosed, and it's pretty common. And when men come to me and they complain of low testosterone symptoms, I always check their thyroid. Number 6 is dry skin. You feel like you're constantly reapplying lotion like every 5 minutes, and your hands just still feel dry, rough, and flaky, and it's not even winter. Your thyroid glands control your sweating and your oil production and how fast your skin cells turn over. So when your thyroid is low, your skin just isn't able to hold on to the moisture no matter how much lotion you put on. It's like watering a plant with a hole in the pot. Nothing can stay in. It doesn't get absorbed. It just goes right through. Number 5 is cold intolerance. You're always freezing. You wear socks to bed and 1,000 blankets even when everybody else is comfortable or hot. Your thyroid can control your inner thermostat. So when it slows down, you produce less heat. Your hands and feet always feel like ice. Now, do also keep in mind that if I see a thyroid issue because of this complaint, I also check iron because low iron, even without an anemia, can also cause cold hands and feet. You need iron so that your thyroid is functioning optimally. Number 4 is irregular or heavy periods if you're female, obviously. Your thyroid and ovaries are constantly talking. When your thyroid goes quiet, your ovaries get confused. They don't know when to ovulate. Low thyroid will cause irregular cycles, missed periods, longer periods, or super heavy bleeding. It's extremely common, and sometimes it gets overlooked. And I also, just want to say sometimes I'll check this on someone who is having irregular cycles. It'll look fine initially, and then I'll check it like 3 to 6 months later, and it will be abnormal. So even if it's not out of range the first time, I might check it later, or I might do a more expanded panel that might catch it sooner than just your standard TSH. Number 3 is depression. This is actually more common than you know. So if you suddenly have depression out of nowhere, before you start any kind of antidepressant, just make sure you get your thyroid checked. I had someone come to me one time and they're like, I don't know why I'm just so depressed and unmotivated. And we checked her thyroid, it was off. We fixed it and she is feeling fine. So it's really important if you have depression to make sure that you don't have thyroid disease as a cause. Number 2 is brain fog. Your active thyroid hormone T3 supports your hippocampus, and the hippocampus is the area in the brain that controls your memory and learning. When your thyroid is low, your brain runs through mud essentially. You forget things, you can't focus, everything feels heavy. Low thyroid also causes brain inflammation, making it worse. So if you're not as sharp as you used to be, this could be it. The number 1 symptom is celiac disease. There is a strong correlation between celiac disease and Hashimoto's. If you have been diagnosed already with Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid disease and you haven't been checked for celiac, then you definitely want to. But if you feel bloated, gassy, or exhausted after eating foods with gluten, such as bread and pasta, or you have brain fog, or your stomach just feels like it's blown up like a balloon, then definitely consider that you may have thyroid disease because you could have celiac. Even I've found people who don't have celiac, but they have a gluten sensitivity. Sometimes it is linked to having thyroid issues. There's a protein in gluten that looks similar to a protein that's on your thyroid gland. So if gluten is triggering your immune system and you're making these antibodies against gluten, especially if you have the gluten food sensitivity, then every time you eat gluten, your body is going to make this antibody to attack the gluten because it thinks it's foreign, because it doesn't like it. And as a result, it'll attack anything that looks similar. So if your thyroid proteins look similar to the gluten proteins, it's going to attack your thyroid gland and cause inflammation in your thyroid gland as well. So if you eat gluten and you don't feel well and you feel like you're getting inflamed from it, then definitely get your thyroid checked and make sure that you don't have a coexisting thyroid condition. So those are 15 hidden symptoms that you may not have been aware are symptoms of thyroid disease. So get with your healthcare provider if you do have any of these symptoms and get your thyroid checked. Now, some healthcare providers will just check a basic TSH. That may not necessarily be enough to really rule out thyroid disease because they have a wide range with the lab. It goes from like 0.5 to 5. There's a little bit of nuance as far as the actual ranges depending on the lab that you go to, but in general, the range goes from 0.5 to 5. The higher your TSH, the more likely it is that you're not making as much thyroid hormone because it's an indirect way of measuring how your thyroid gland is working. It's actually measuring the TSH that is made from the pituitary gland in your brain. The TSH is not actually made by your thyroid. So some people get it backwards. They think, oh, my TSH is high. I need to have my medicine lowered. I'm getting too much. Or if it's low, they think they need to have their medicine dose raised. But in actuality, it's the opposite. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.